Hello and welcome. In our previous tutorial, we were able to look at the separation of the environment variables for the production and the development environment. And I've also made updates to the documentation in the Git repository, or that can also aid in knowing which uh, Docker configuration to use. So in this tutorial, we're going to be able to look at how we can deploy. We're going to start on thinking how we can deploy this website onto Heroku. And I have opened this uh, page for Heroku, the Heroku Dev Center. We have the installation procedure. We'll begin by installing what you call the Heroku command line interface. And below here, we have the installers for Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. So since I'm using Windows, I'm going to download the 64-bit installer. It's my Windows, the machine that I'm using is 64-bit for Windows. I had already downloaded it, so it resides on my desktop. So I'm just going to open the desktop. Here we have our Heroku installer. So I'm just going to click it and install. So I'll leave these options as their defaults. And I'm going to just proceed with the installation. So the download has completed. We're going to close it. And I'm going to open the Windows terminal. And let's see what happens when I type the Heroku command, because it has been added in the local environment variables. Here we get this kind of a message. And these are the commands that we can use in the with Heroku. So the command that we are interested in, we will first log in. Okay, we will first log into Heroku, and I cannot see the command here. Let me just try Heroku login. Yeah, and it's going to open the browser to just cancel it. So I'm going to probably try it inside the PyCharm. I'm sure it's not going to detect it until I have to close and reopen the terminal. So I have tested, I have reloaded or restarted my PyCharm. And one way to test is just typing Heroku on the this command line. And I'm going to try and log in using Heroku login. And it tells me to press any key. So it's going to open and authenticate. It's supposed to authenticate first. And just clicked on login. I had already logged in. Yeah, so it has been able to log in. And then now you can see I've logged in using my email, and just going to clear. So the next step will be creating an app, and this you can check it inside the Heroku documentation to understand. So to be specific, we have these Heroku create. So we're going to create an app on Heroku. So far, I'm going to check which apps I have. I think I have one, but let me go back to the command line. So I'll do Heroku create. I'll just call this my website, jkaraoke. So you have to use a name that is not common. So for example, if I try and create Heroku create website, I'm sure it's going to probably give us some output here. So it says name website is already taken. So we'll try Heroku, my website, jkaraoke dev. Yeah, and as you can see, it has already created that app, and this is the URL to the app. So if I click on that link, you can see that it shows us there is an application that has been created. So if I go to heroku.com, it will open my dashboard. So far I have two applications. I have one which is Karaoke Dev, and it indicates that this is a Python application hosted in US server. And then we have this my website, Karaoke Dev. So let's see. We also have a corresponding Git, the Heroku Git repository that has been created for the same application. So the next step will be setting up the variables, the environment variables, and we'll set them for ease. We'll just set them inside the using this web dashboard. And I've clicked on the application that I've just created, and inside the settings, I can click. I'll identify this config vars, and I can check the variables. So there are two ways to set the variables. You can just add them manually. This is what we are going to do. We are going to add three of these variables manually, and then one of them we are going to add it using the command line interface so that you can understand. So the first command will be environment, which will set it to production so that it corresponds or it picks up some of the items from the settings.py file. And then the other item we will add is the secret key. So I'm going to set this from the production environment variable file, but I'm going to change this probably later. So I'm just going to add that, and then I'm going to add another command, which is the disable collect static. So this should be set to true. So I'm disabling collection of static files by Heroku because I want the white noise to take care of this. And you remember we installed the white noise third-party library, and we already ran the collect static. So that's why I'm setting this to false, because if I do not set it, Heroku automatically runs the collect static, which many a times experiences or experience errors. So I do not want to have that. That's why I'm adding this. So the other configurations that we are going to add, I'm going to add them using the command line interface. So they have been saved. So while we are still on these settings, you can be able to change the app name. You can also be able to filter domains, and you can see we have the URL for our application. You can also set maintenance mode, and you can also delete the app, among other things. So I've opened the Heroku CLI documentation, and maybe we can look at in the deployment. I'm trying to look for environment variables. You can also check it using the Heroku command. Yeah, so we have this config. So I can type Heroku config, and then let me just type as it is and see what it's going to show us. Yeah, so when you type this Heroku config, it shows us the variables that we have already added. And we can be able to check. Yeah, so we can add a configuration. I've added help so that I can get the output. So we can add the configuration using set. So we'll use Heroku config set, and the variable name in this case is debug, and I'll set it to be equal to false or zero since we're in a production environment. Yeah, so I believe this config should have a colon as stated here in the command. Yeah, so let's check our configs. We can even use get. Get, in this case, we can state secret key. I got an error because I've not specified what I'm trying to get. Yeah, so you can see we get the output. So if I want to see all the configurations, I can just repeat this and you'll see that the debug has been set to false. Okay. So if we go back to the Heroku configuration variables, I can just hide and reveal, and you'll see that we have this debug which wasn't there before. So those are the variables that we are going to set. Let's see the next steps. So we have been able to set or to create a Heroku application, and we already have the URL. So in the next step, we are going to, in the next tutorial, we are going to see how, and we have also been able to set up the configuration, the variables, environment variables. And in the next step, we are going to see how we can deploy using the Heroku. We also have what you call the Heroku YML or a YAML file. We are going to see how we can deploy it, the website using Heroku YAML file. And this brings us to the end of this tutorial. If you like this video, kindly like, and you can also subscribe to my channel for more content. And don't forget to click the bell icon so that you can receive a notification whenever I upload new content. Thank you for watching.